Last night, Israel and the USA launched attacks against Iran. And I guess I'm not really sure of what the total reasoning is for behind it. So the president did kind of put out a statement and said that we need to take care of their ballistic missiles and make sure that they can never get a nuclear weapon and that they're going to be obliterated. Re-obliterated. I'm not really sure what the end goal is on this, but let's play the president's statement.
In Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world.
Let me see if I can go further ahead in his statement, because obviously he's reading off a teleprompter, and I'm not quite sure.
Their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs as they are the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police. I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity.
It sounds like a lot. The president just said a lot of stuff that we intend to do in Iran. Okay. I'm going to give y'all my prediction right now, and we will see how close I may or may not be to being correct. My prediction just off rip is we do 7 to 20 days of bombing as long as we don't lose any troops, and someone of importance, whether in this first attack or an attack very soon by Israel in America, will be taken out from the government, whether from the IRGC or from the actual, the Ayatollah or anybody from the regime themselves. They will be taken out. We'll take out a key area and we will just declare victory. Now, the thing is about that is that in war, the enemy gets a say too. I'm going to show you some already counter attacks that Iran has already launched towards some of our places in the Middle East, that has me concerned. But it's just something it's very interesting that the president did not mention Iran barely any at the State of the Union. And the one thing I will say is that I don't know if the American people want this. I know for me personally, I'm a kind of an American first guy. I don't really know why we're doing this, even if everything works out perfect. The Ayatollah gets taken out, the Ministry of Defense gets taken out, the head of the IRGC gets taken out, high value targets are just yeeted off the earth. I don't know if the American people are going to reward this action, especially because they did campaign very heavy on peace. Even one of his top advisors, Stephen Miller, said that if you vote Kamala in, she's going to send your sons to war. And J.D. Vance, the vice president, and Donald Trump, the president, both were deemed to say that they were the peace duo. And a lot of folks I don't think are going to like this. But for me personally, I'm not necessarily worried about the political part of it. I'm more concerned about the blood and treasure. And why would we have to, engage in that? Here we have Jennifer Griffin with Fox News. She says new details on the U.S. military strikes in Iran. The U.S. military used some new capabilities in these strikes. For the first time, they used one-way attack drones in combat. The U.S. military has been focusing on high-value targets, et cetera, et cetera. They also use Tomahawk missiles as the first volley of strikes to weaken targets. And they say Iranian response says that it has been effective. The Iranian response has been effective, according to U.S. senior officials. We'll talk about that here in a second. So we're now using one-way attack drones similar to what's going on in Russia, what's going on in Ukraine, what Iran did versus Israel with the Shahed drones that they use, and they use one of us on our bases in Bahrain. And so the thing is that this war is now, whenever you look at a war sheet, you look at a war plan, the first couple of pages of a war plan is a bunch of assumptions and what ifs. if this happens, what if this happens? If this happens, what if that happens? And so when we look at that type of stuff, we're really trying to predict, if we do this specific attack, what would be the response? And if we do that type of attack, what will be the response? We look here. This is from OS Intel Defender. Since this morning's joint strike on Iran by Israel and the United States, Iran has launched retaliatory ballistic missiles on American bases across the Middle East. So far, they've attacked Bahrain, Iraq, Israel, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. So they've already started their counterattacks. And we already got some former or current political folks who are, I think they may represent how some of the country feels. This is the former Congresswoman, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She says this is not for any American people. This is murdering their children. What the F are insane people doing? America does not support this. According to Globe Eye News, 51 children in Iran and 60 students. So 51 children killed, 60 students were wounded when they hit a girls' school in Iran. Globe Eye News is a credible source and something that I normally will like to use for my reporting purposes. This is some Americans on the base in Bahrain. Now, let me tell you, in Bahrain, that base is, if you're stationed in Bahrain, you make a lot of money. Okay. I was in Bahrain for a while. You're getting paid. You're in theater, so you get hazard pay. Your pay up to a certain amount is tax-free. Depending on how you're situated, you can getting paid daily per diem. You make a lot of money, and depending on where you live in nice areas, relatively nice to be away from America. So here we have the inside of seemingly someone's apartment or villa or something, either near the base or on the base. You see his PlayStation 5, his flat screen TV, his coffee table, plush couch, nice chair, lamp. This is Bahrain. This could be a contractor. This could be somebody in the military, And so a lot of times you become complacent when you're on Bahrain because it's been so long without an attack. It's cushy living. You have a nice rental car, et cetera, et cetera. Let's check out, see what he says here.
Oh! Oh, shit! Oh, fuck! Oh, my God! Oh, dude, fuck me. A fucking missile actually got through. Oh, there's more. I gotta get the fuck out of here.
So that was his reaction to one of these missile attacks in Bahrain. This is U.S. Naval, the Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. This is another attack. I don't know if it's the same one from a different angle or similar ballistic missile hitting a site in Bahrain. They're going after some of our radar in Bahrain. They're going after some of our assets in Bahrain. Earlier, we said that U.S. officials say that their retaliatory attacks have been ineffective. For us to listen to them say that they've been ineffective, they're going to give us a play-by-play of like everything that's happening. I got one thing I want to tell you guys is that war is not what we see the special operators do mostly. So what we saw special operators do in Venezuela was very precise. They took no casualties other than I think a helicopter pilot got injured in one of their missions. But so far, everything, I really want you to think what the president has done over his first term and this term. Who has he used whenever he conducted attacks? Special operators. They're very precise. They avoid taking casualties. This is a different beast. We're now using aircraft carriers, and seemingly we're over terrain, which is humongous. Iran is a very large country. If we were to have a jet go down by Israel or an American jet, Hilo, whatever, we would have to go recover that. We are now introducing the possibility of casualties and losing people at war. And this is not the Iranian revolution of 40 years ago. So those folks who participated in that are in their 80s now. This is an entirely different generation. They're used to living underneath this regime. If we're going for regime change, I'm not about that life. That is kind of where the America First in me kind of comes out. Although we may not like it, those folks that live over there are used to that shit. And I don't know if it is 100% up to us to decide who in the region can have what weapons. I think that I think, in my personal opinion, I believe that the Prime Minister of Israel believes that for the next 3 years, they have an administration that will, for the most part, go along with whatever they want them to do. And that could be a good or bad thing, depending on your perspective. But me personally, if the goal is regime change, us just simply taking out the head of the IRGC, killing the Ayatollah, killing important leaders within the regime is not regime change. That's just yeeting some folks. So what does this really mean? I believe that we have entered another stage when it comes to the military and war and et cetera. And I don't think it goes as fast as we think that it could. I do believe that there's a possibility that my prediction of 7 to 20 days, taking somebody out important and just declaring victory, could be completely wrong. That is just a feeling that I have. This may be something where, one of my kiddos is having to sign up and possibly participate in an Iran, Israel, in America war, which I would prefer not to be the case. Especially, I got a 17-year-old who is eligible literally within a year. I have an 11-year-old who, if this turns out to be like Iraq, could be eligible as well. Isn't that freaking weird to say? Also having like a 5-year-old who, if this turns out to be like Iraq, could be eligible as well. I don't want that to happen. I also don't want to spend a lot of money over there, and I don't really know what the reason behind it is for. Now, ultimately, in Venezuela, we went down there with special operators. We took out Maduro, and it seems to be we're going after that oil, baby. Here, I'm not really sure what the deal is. I know that a lot of the administration is highly in business with different parts of the Middle East players. We have people in administration that have business in UAE, have business in different parts of Arab countries, as well as Israel. So I don't know if we're protecting our interests in those countries, if that's what we're doing, if we're just really trying to make sure they don't get ballistic missiles, if that's what we're doing, we're just trying to take out the stuff altogether. I'm not really sure. So we have a statement here. This says, keep in mind, this is from Janatat Sahi, great reporter. He's a research analyst as well. He focuses mainly on Israel, Iran, and China. So keep in mind that most of these Persian Gulf countries, while not allies of Tehran, have never been in favor of regime change, have sought out to preserve to preserve it. So the strategy of unleashing regional war is not affecting the regime's not having the effect that the regime intended. It's turning neutral states against Tehran. And the thing is that the reason that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, they don't fuck with Iran like that. Some of them consider themselves to be Persians, i.e. Iran. Some of themselves consider themselves to be Arab, i.e. Saudi Arabia. So they've been beefing for thousands of years, but they don't want disruption in their area because it makes instability very quickly. This is a statement from the foreign ministry, a statement from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia condemns and denounces in the strongest terms the blatant Iranian aggression and flagrant violation of sovereignty of the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, and Jordan. So the kingdom affirms its full solidarity with and unwavering support for brotherly countries. So now they didn't want this to happen, but also they don't want the retaliatory strikes to be disrupting what's going on in that area. And Saudi Arabia got that muscle. Okay, they've been buying stuff from our defense industrial complex for a very long time. So this is from the Israeli Defense Forces. They conducted a broad strike on strategic defense systems of the Iranian regime. This is one of their 3D made maps or whatever. Look how big Iran is. This is where they did some of their aerial strikes. And this may be something that's impressive that they're made for themselves or for their country or for whoever. But all I see is a big ass country where if an Israeli jet was to be taken down or if any of our assets were to be taken down, we would have to go in and get that type of stuff. And that is the type of thing that makes me draw pause. This is sirens going off in Israel because of the retaliatory strikes. Now, every time Iran launches a ballistic missile or a drone towards Israel, sirens have to go off and people have to go in underground bunkers. This is how many places have been alerted as they launch missiles their way. This is going to be a prolonged thing that they have to think about. So, summary, man, we got seemingly war going on with Iran. Me personally, I don't think that this is the way to go. But I do believe that we are at least in the game for a minimum of the month of March, maybe a little bit less than that. I could be wrong. This could be a long-term thing. Comment down below, what do you think about us firing it up and making it happen with Iran? First time stopping by, well, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. Also, just to mention, I told you guys before, if an attack happened, it was going to happen when the markets weren't open. President Trump likes to do stuff on the weekends. Once again, I unfortunately was right about that. But if this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.